If you're thinking about moving to the Dallas area and you want to land on some land, an acre or more, we're going to be talking about all the popular spots, the destinations, if you got kids, if you got horses. We're going to give you the whole layout, so by the end of this video, you know where you want to land.
Hey, that callback. We're also going to answer a lot of popular questions people have when they're moving a little bit further away from the city. Everything from internet and Amazon to builders and septic.
Not only that, but we are actually going to take you into a couple different houses at the end of this video. We're going to show you something in the 500 range and something in the $800,000 range, new homes. And so that way you get a good idea of the difference in what you're going to get. All right, so if this is your first time kind of exploring the Dallas area, we're going to just give you a brief 60-second overview of kind of where things are. So you get a general feel for the map here, and then we're going to jump into everything else, and we're going to start talking about these different areas. So I guess to start with, we're looking at a map here of Dallas. You're going to see Dallas and then Fort Worth. Fort Worth, 12th largest city in the U.S., but nobody seems to know it's here because Dallas. We have a ton of growth that's happening to the north. So you may have even heard of Frisco and McKinney. That's where the Texas Star is. That's where the PGA headquarters is. There's just a ton of growth heading that direction. It's heading north in Fort Worth as well. But so you're going to hear those a lot. That's where there's a lot of growth happening, but that doesn't mean there's not growth everywhere, because there is.
Right.
And then some of the big employers, you've got the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. American Airlines is one of the major employers here. And so that's going to sit right in the center of the Metroplex. Fort Worth, you're going to have a lot of the oil and gas guys over on this side. You also have Lockheed Martin, which is a big employer here as well. You've got the Joint Reserve Base for the military guys. And then in the center, you've got Arlington, which has like some of the Bell helicopter, GM, that sort of thing. And it's also the home of the Texas Rangers, the Dallas Cowboys. So you have all the entertainment stuff there. And then what am I missing? Up north near the top end of Fort Worth, you've got Charles Schwab. You've got a few of these major companies up there as well. Your Trophy Club, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You gave me a look. I wasn't sure if I was naming the wrong companies. But yeah, so we've got a little bit of everything. So we're going to take around the horn, because if you're moving this direction, obviously, you know, family or your job's going to dictate where you want to be. And so, or maybe, you know, a lot of people also want to be close to like actually go do activities. They don't want to be so far out. They're driving an hour and a half, right? So we're going to keep you a little closer than that. But as far as drive times go, so that's another thing to kind of familiarize yourself with. We're going to kind of jump around the Metroplex here, because if you were living on the outskirts of Dallas, but you work in Fort Worth, it's going to take you probably an hour and a half to get to the other side, because you're on the outskirts already. So, you know, more than likely, whichever side of the Metroplex you're going to be working on is where you're going to want to try to land to keep your commute under like an hour to fun stuff or to your job, that kind of thing. Is that fair? I know.
I mean, it varies.
A lot
yeah,
there.
no, you're good. Honestly, that's the facts, because a lot of people, they'll be moving to the DFW area because they hear Dallas and they're like Dallas, Fort Worth, and then they'll pick something crazy like Cleburne because it's cheap, and they don't realize that, hey, I work in Frisco.
Yeah, so this is massive. I know we fit it all on one tiny screen here, but it's massive. So, and then especially if you were driving across the Metroplex during rush hour, traffic's an issue. So anyways, that's why we're going to talk about all the areas. So if you have kids or horses, we've got some really good picks as far as locations go. And then we're also going to be answering questions that we get from a lot of people. So the first one's going to be internet and Amazon, but let's jump into one of the areas first. So Frisco, McKinney. Since there's so much new jobs happening up here, if you are going to be working somewhere close to Frisco or McKinney, then let's talk about what it looks like to buy a house on land up in this area. So there's Frisco, there's McKinney, and if you want to buy something new under $1 million, how far out are we going?
Well, let me zoom out a little bit. Hold on.
You can't see it from here, from this zoom.
So actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the MLS here, because we actually have some of these marked up, and you'll get a better idea of like where the houses actually are in this area. So we got, You see we got Frisco down here, we got McKinney over here, and these little dots are houses under $1 million.
Yeah,
and you'll see they're nowhere near the actual city.
Yeah, and we will talk a little bit about pre-existing homes, because you can get pre-existing homes closer. Everything that we're going to be talking about here at the first part is going to be new construction, just to give you an idea. But yeah, so if you look here where McKinney's at and where these new homes are actually, these are all going to be probably around 30 minutes from McKinney. And so from there, you know, you can do some math, but McKinney to Frisco, like if you're living on the outskirts here, you're going to be close to, and probably a 45-hour drive to Frisco. And then your airport is going to be a little bit further. But this is where there's a ton of growth. So everybody wants to be over this direction. And how much are these homes?
So I marked all of these for under $1 million. You can see here we got that one at 454. That one's 599, 600. So it looks like it floats like in the average of maybe like mid to low sixes.
And how
for some
big
of
are
these
houses up here?
So this one we got a 4-bed, 4-bath. If we're looking at that, that's 3,100 square feet.
So good.
It's a sizable house. And this one over here, 1861. So a decent spread depending on what you're looking for.
And then down here in Princeton, so there's a neighborhood here that I'm upset. We were just there the other day and missed out on it.
Yeah, 2,400, 2,900, 2,600. These are all around that 700,000.
Okay. So that's actually pretty good. So that's really good. Princeton is one of the most affordable areas right now if you're looking to move. Not much out there. There's not much in Princeton itself. There's basically one road with some strip centers, a Walmart, and
nice barbecue place.
Yeah, there's a good barbecue place. But we're gonna be you're more than likely, for all the other stuff, you're gonna be heading into McKinney. So. But from Princeton to McKinney, like, you're only about 20, 25 minutes. So that's not a bad place to land. And then the areas north of there, you're really just going to be out in the country. There's not a ton of, I mean, there's development that's happening out there, but it's not like you're going to be in a legit suburb, right? You're going to be out there. So, anything else you want to add about this area?
No, but if you are thinking that you're moving out of the city by moving to somewhere like, say, Melissa or Anna, while those are a lot more rural, they are blowing up quickly. So expect the city to make its way to you.
Yeah. In the next probably 4 to 5 years, you get something out there. Yeah. Cool. All right. And then next up, we're going to be talking about a great area if you've got horses. But first, let's tackle one of those questions we get a lot, and that's internet. And also Amazon. Do you get Amazon deliveries?
Yeah, which you wouldn't think would be an issue, but in some places it can be, especially once you get outside of the range of the Amazon fulfillment centers. If you enjoy your 2-day shipping, you may want to say goodbye to that in some cases, because while you'll still be able to get Amazon in most places, they may drop it off at the entrance to your lot, and if you live really far back, that means you got to drive up to go grab your packages, and they'll probably be delivered with something like USPS or FedEx or UPS, because Amazon won't fulfill it directly if you're too far away from the city.
Yeah, and so a lot of that's going to depend on where you're at, along with the internet. So, we have neighborhoods now that have like this fiber line and these, 2 terabytes or gigabytes, I don't know, ridiculous internet now. And so, if you're working from home some of the time, you want to make sure you have good connectivity. So with that, you're not going to find as much fiber on the outskirts. And what you will find, sometimes there's like cable, if cable companies have made it out that far. And then also, which I didn't even know this existed till like about a year ago or so, but they have these like little satellite dishes that they'll put on top of your roof, and they beam to like a water tower or a tower that they put up where the data streams from. And I've had clients that use this, and they say it's actually really good.
Yeah,
and
Starlink, right?
No. So that would be the last option, right?
Oh, okay.
So Starlink beams up to satellites.
That's right.
Yeah. So the what I'm talking about, I don't know what they call it, but it's basically beams over to something local. So even during storms, you typically don't have interruptions. I know that was one of the big things. We had I grew up out in the country, and at one point, I think we tried the satellite, and anytime a storm came through, it was like nothing worked. Yeah,
like Dish TV, just gone.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's So internet's not as big of an issue in most places, but it is still something that, as you look around, you're going to want to double check, especially if you're working from home, which usually we do that by calling around, and we can help you with that legwork. But all right, cool. Let's talk about the horse capital of the world, Weatherford, Texas. So we're heading west here from Dallas all the way on the other side of Fort Worth, and Weatherford has been blowing up, and they have their school system, I think, is like B rated.
I think it's B plus. But
we didn't even talk about that. Princeton's got A rated schools. McKinney's A rated. Melissa is A rated. So a lot of those areas up in there, you're going to find good schools. Now you go out past that, it's going to depend on where you land. But Weatherford's B rated, B plus. What'd you say?
I think it's B plus.
Yeah.
It's a very quickly growing city. But by the way, we get all of our school ratings from niche.com. So if you guys are looking to do more research, that's where we get those from.
Yeah, and so Weatherford doesn't have a ton of like cookie cutter subdivisions. There's
Not
a
really,
few, but for the most part, you get folks that live out on land. So it's going to be a lot of that type of person. You're going to see a lot of horse ranches, and it's the horse cutting capital of the world. So if that's kind of what you're looking for, this could be a good place to land. And the other thing that's happened over the last year, the county, so it's in Parker County, and Parker County decided that in interest of keeping water for everybody, because you're going to be on a well and septic, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But basically, they've gone to where if you're going to be building a house, you need to have at least 2 acres. So where a lot of counties, the minimum is 1, they've gone to 2. So I guess the upside is you're going to get a little bit more space if you do end up buying out here. Now, there are a couple neighborhoods that are being built out that have been grandfathered in, but for the most part, going forward, you're going to see a lot of 2-acre lots. So if you want even more space, that's a good place to land. And the pricing out here is not bad. Actually, we one of the houses that we're going to look at here in a little bit is it technically Weatherford?
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
it's part of Weatherford. It's not quite Springtown, but it's getting close.
Yeah. So it starts like around 500 for homes out here. So that's the other thing when you look at like what homes cost up near McKinney and the north side on an acre versus what you're going to find out here in the west and the south. It's going to be a lot cheaper on the west and the south side.
Yeah, you'll notice if you take a look at the map, all those little green dots that you were only seeing a few of over by McKinney, Melissa area, there are quite a bit more of them in the Weatherford area.
Yeah, so we're actually going to be taking a look at one of these homes later on, so you can see what you can get for around $500,000, and all kinds of properties. So you're gonna have a lot of options if you make it out this way. Now, the other thing, Weatherford's only about, it depends on where you're at in Weatherford, but you're only about 30 minutes from downtown Fort Worth. So it's not too far away from everything Fort Worth has to offer, including the stockyards. And so if you're doing rodeos and that kind of thing, you're about 30 minutes from there. And then all the shopping and everything else that Fort Worth has to offer. So that's I guess that's the upside there. And the traffic isn't terrible, except for on 30.
Asterisk.
Yeah. Going from basically 820 to until you pass Walsh, which is like this master plan community. They are planning on expanding this highway, but I don't think it's supposed to be done until like 2028. So, yeah, that little stretch in there during rush hour sucks, just so you know. All right. And then, so if you're looking for something like this that's less expensive, but you want to be on the Dallas side of the Metroplex, we're going to talk about that next. And we'll answer a quick question here about grass and fences. So this is something that I never really thought of, but somebody asked me the other day, and I was like, that is such a great question. Like, why are there no fences on new homes? Are they not allowed? And they are allowed. It's just an extra expense that the builder doesn't want to take on. So typically, if you're buying an acre lot, they only sod, like you're going to get a sprinkler system for your front lawn, and they do like a little bit of the back, and then it's going to be just like rocks or dirt for the rest of the way. And they don't put a fence up either. And that's just a cost saving measure on their part.
Yeah, so like the front half acre will have sod on it. The back half acre is just whatever it was before they started building.
Yeah. So that's something to take into account. Because like, and I know like we help a lot of people doing new home builds. And if you're like, typically these landscaping packages for like the flower bed and just the sod is typically like $17,000 to $20,000. So it's expensive to come lay all that sod, and that's why they don't go. They want to save that extra $10,000 of putting sod in. So that's going to be more than likely your task if you're buying new.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, those larger lots, like if you've ever installed fencing, it's not cheap. I've got a quarter acre lot, and just to get the back half fence was like $3,500 on the low end. Imagine doing that on an acre. Yeah, they're going to try and save that money. And a lot of times, if you do end up with fencing, it's going to be your steel tubing types. Usually, they'll paint over to something. It looks nice, but you can see through it, so there's no privacy.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk a little bit about once you do build that fence, what kind of livestock you can have, because it's not the same everywhere. But we'll talk about that next. Let's talk about Fate, Roy City. So heading back over to the east side of the Metroplex, if you are wanting to find some homes that are a little less expensive and still be on that Dallas side of the Metroplex, this is going to be a good option as well. So now you're kind of seeing that you're getting further outside the Metroplex. And Fate, Roy City, you got Nevada. There's like a bunch of little towns here. So this is where you're starting to get real rural. And this is kind of like honorable mention here, Springtown on the Fort Worth side. You didn't mention it. But you're like Springtown, you're a little bit further out. You're 45 minutes out from Fort Worth, right? So here you're getting a little even further out. And these are going to be... How expensive are these over here?
Let's see, taking a look at some of these. So I know Roy City is the new place to be. If we click on some of these, that's $699. We got $597, $675. So it looks like it's floating around the 600 mark, which isn't bad. That one's almost $1 million right there.
Yeah.
Another almost $1 million.
That one for 700 is 3,400 square feet.
Oh, was it?
The one at 529 that you had?
I didn't see a 529.
Right here.
Oh, this one?
How big is that?
So this one at 529 is 2,400 square feet. Okay. 4.3, not bad.
All right, yeah. So there's going to be a broad range over here, just depending on what you're looking for, how much space you need. So this could be an option as well. The downside to living over here, so Rockwall is a pretty decent-sized city. So it's going to have all kinds of shopping, fun things to do. You're right next to Lake Ray Hubbard, which it's a fun little lake. And the downside, though, is if you need to cross that lake, same kind of issue that you have on the west side of Fort Worth. During rush hour, the traffic gets real bad. They've been expanding that bridge, but I don't know if they're real close to finishing. And even when it's finished, I think there's still going to be a bit of a bottleneck there. But that's another place to look out for. And the schools over here are pretty decent, especially Rockwall has a great school district, Rockwall and Heath. Heath is right below it. And it depends on where you land, but some of this feeds into that school district. So this one, you got a couple different schools there, but there are some opportunities there for A-rated schools.
So the next place we're going to talk about is possibly the fastest growing area if you're looking for an acre of land near Dallas. But before we get to that...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before we get to that, we mentioned livestock and like chickens and that kind of thing. So once you fence things in, depending on where you land, like a lot of people are like, I want to have an HOA. Some of these neighborhoods are nicer. They're going to have an HOA. And just depending on where you get in, there's actually two things that you got to check. One is the HOA for what they allow, and the other is the deed restrictions. So it's not uncommon to have deed restrictions that will not allow you to put a mobile home on the land. They won't allow you to put, some of them won't allow privacy fences. So like if you are going to put a fence up, it's got to be like an iron or a pole fence, no chain link. And then a lot of them are going to not allow pigs for
what I hope are obvious reasons.
Yeah. But usually like chickens are okay. Some of them have restrictions on where the chicken coops can be. And typically you can have horses or whatever. It's usually so much livestock per acre, depending on where you're at. So So anyways, if you are wanting to have those animals, then basically you got to check two different things. Now, unfortunately, if in the description we've got a link to set up a search, we can definitely filter a lot of these things out, but not the kind of deed restriction. So it's just going to be, that's where we would work with you guys closely on figuring out, okay, which of these neighborhoods actually work for what you guys are looking for. So definitely hit us up.
Yeah, and if you are moving out to the areas a little bit further out from the city, you may need to start worrying about what type of builder you're going to employ and what kind of utility systems like well or septic you're going to have to build on that lot. And we're going to answer that. But before we do, we're going to show you that new area that everyone seems to be moving to, and that is Waxahachie.
Yeah, and I hadn't been there since
Man.
Was it medieval times back in the day?
Oh God, was it?
Was that what it was? Or no, it was Scarborough Fair.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Just on the outskirts of Waxahachie there. But we went. We've got a video on We've got a video on most of these places. We got a video on Waxahachie. I thought it was really cool. It had a different vibe to it.
I did too. I didn't know the college had gotten that big either.
Yeah, there's actually two colleges there. They've got a big downtown area, and then it's like, to get out of town is not that far. It's like 10 minutes, and
once you're outside of the downtown area, there's a little industry and some bungalows, and then that's it.
Yeah, and so one of the places we visited, you could buy, an acre, brand new house for around $500,000, decent size too, right? And you were only 30 minutes from downtown Dallas. So to me, I was like, okay, I see the appeal to this. Now, that was on the north side of Waxahachie. Obviously, if you're on the south side, it's going to take a little longer. But yeah, there's a lot of options here, as you can see. And this also kind of stretches into Midlothian. So both have good school districts as well. Can't go wrong with either one. There's not much in Midlothian.
That's true. Yet. But it is growing.
Yeah, it is growing. They've got a downtown area. And just north of that, honorable mention, you've got Mansfield. And there's not going to be as much in Mansfield to choose from as far as acre lots go, unless you're buying pre-existing. But that's also great school district. A lot of our clients relocate there as well. So anything else to say about Waxahachie?
Oh man, actually, let's check some of the prices because I'm not super familiar with Waxahachie. So for a 4.4, that one's $725. These float around. It looks like the $700,000 in this little neighborhood here. We got some a little bit further out. That one's closer to 8, but it spreads down to 6, 5s. Yeah, so it looks like some of these bigger homes you're looking at upper 5s to low 7s.
Yeah, and it just depends, right? Because like the one neighborhood we visited with, like next to the lake with the luxury homes,
those were really big homes,
really nice. Yeah, like so there is a difference in like the finish outs in a lot of these homes and the builders, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But yeah, and next up we're going to be talking about, we mentioned earlier, there's one great for families. We help a ton of clients move to this area. I think it's one of the better ones. But first, septic systems. Yeah, a lot of people are like, does it smell? Is it expensive to maintain?
It really scares a lot of people to hear that word.
Yeah.
Septic, and then
yeah. Yeah. But it's not that bad. Like
no.
I grew up, we had a septic tank. They last for a very long time. I think it's like 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, they're rated for like way longer than you expect.
Yeah, and the type of systems they put in nowadays, they have two different tanks. So like the first one is kind of where all the waste sits. The second one is pretty well filtered, and then there's another filtration that happens before it goes back in to your lawn. And they have a couple different systems. They have one that basically a sprinkler head pops up and it shoots it out into your yard, and then the other one, there's a drip system where it pushes it out, but it's like 6 to 12 inches below ground, so you don't actually see it. And so and they also have alarms. So if something starts to go wrong with your system, typically you're going to be alerted. But as far as maintenance goes, most counties require you have a servicing contract where I think it has to be serviced every 6 months.
I want to say the longest I've seen is a year, but most are going to be 6 months. And that just means you have somebody come out and pump the excess and just inspect it real quick, make sure there's nothing wrong with it.
It's a couple $100. So it's not, it's cheaper than paying for city sewer.
Seriously.
So the only downside is if you are buying an existing house and it hasn't been changed in 30 or 40 years, then that could be an expense for you, which is actually happening at one of my properties right now. Just to give you an idea, that one I just got a quote back on. It's going to be like just over 13,000 to replace the whole system. So
Yeah.
not ideal, but it's not astronomical as far as.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen roofs cost more than that.
Yeah.
We live in Texas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so septics is, it's just something that you're going to learn once you have one. But it's not that big of a deal, I would say.
No.
And then we didn't have it on here, but wells as well.
But
Hey. So those basically you're pumping water out of the ground. You've got a filtration system on it. I think it's probably one of the better. I think it's a big plus. I think the quality of water, depending on where you're at, is much better than recycled city water.
yeah, it's a lot more consistent too.
Yeah, and so basically having the right setup, because there's some people that would put softeners on it. It just depends on the water where you're getting it from, but some will have a water softener system, some will have a secondary filter, but by the end of it, if you get it set up right, you have free water. So
Yeah, and the only real downside to wells is the possibility of it drying up. And
Yes.
of course, you're going to know this before you drill the well if you work with a reputable builder, which is
Yeah,
leads us
well,
into our next topic.
maybe not, but like
Yeah.
we know of some areas where folks have had wells gone dry during droughts, and that sucks. There's some different solutions to it, but yeah, it's better to work with some people that know the area. That way you can help avoid that, because not all builders would know.
No, which why I cannot speak today. Builders is another really good topic if you're looking to move out to an area with some land, because a lot of times, especially with these acre communities, they may not have a set builder. They may have a build on your land situation. A lot of times developers will have like 2 or 3 builders per neighborhood, and in the larger ones out like in Bella Crossing or Vintage Oaks, they'll actually allow you to pick a builder.
And you don't have the same you don't have city inspections, right? So the rules are a little different. We'll talk about it here in a minute, but let's talk about the biggest family destination on acreage. I say that. I don't know if it's the biggest one or not, but it's very popular. That's Alto, Texas. So if you're not from here, you'll probably say it Alto. I've heard that a few times. We pronounce it Alto. And this is very well known for their school system. It's very well known for their football and baseball program. So if you have kids that are athletes, that's a big draw. So as far as in the Fort Worth school system is not great, and some of the suburbs around Fort Worth is not, aren't the best schools either. So like having a really good school system this close to downtown where a lot of people work is a big draw for this neighborhood. So anyways, or this suburb, not neighborhood. But yeah, you can see here, there are homes here on the outskirts. These are going to be a little bit more expensive. It just is a little bit more expensive in Alto just because of the draw for the schools and
these are
everything
floating
else.
around 800,000.
Yeah. You're not going to find...
He's closer to 9.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're more than likely going to be 700,000 to over $1 million to buy in here, and most of these homes are going to be luxury. They're not going to be just 4 sides and a roof or whatever. So if you're looking to move out this way, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but worth it. And then also, we're going to be taking the second house that we're taking a look at today is actually going to be. It's technically not in the Alto School District. It's technically Fort Worth, but part of the neighborhood's in the Alto School District, so you get an idea of kind of what those look like. But apart from that, what else should we tell people about Alto?
It is growing quickly. We've seen a lot of... right now you can't see a lot of the dots on the screen because, like Tom was saying, a lot of them are over $1 million, but they understand that those are bringing a lot of people to this area. There is so much development going over there. Like if you drive through the Alto area, there's nothing but dirt being moved.
Yeah, and there's 3 pretty large master plan communities as well. So if you are somebody that's watching this video thinking, hey, this sounds nice, is it really for us? Maybe not. Then we'll link to those videos in the description as well. So Alito is a great place to land. But But if you do want to be on this side and Alita is too pricey for you, but you still want some good schools, we got a backup plan for you next. And let's see here. Oh, also in Alito, not a lot going on there. So you are driving in, just like Weatherford, you're driving into Fort Worth for your shopping, all that kind of stuff. But it is closer than Weatherford. Most of the places are. So you're probably like you're probably going to be about 20 minutes away from like grocery stores, restaurants, that kind of thing. So it's not terrible as far as drive time goes. It's actually pretty good. So talking about living a rural lifestyle and being 20 minutes away from the city is
you're going to have to compromise.
Yeah. But yeah, so before we get to the next one, let's talk a little bit about home builders. So
yeah,
this is something we love. New home builds, love them. I'm fascinated with them. We walk them every week. So there is a big difference between builders. We have seen all kinds of things go wrong. Matter of fact, we're working on one right now where we're like, hey, this is every red flag in the book. And I know a lot of people try to do this on their own, but like one of the biggest things for me is like in the contract, are they detailing everything that's going into the house? Because what's happened over the last 5-6 years is our market has been so good that, any roofer, any contractor out there that could get their hands on some money decided to become a builder and build homes. Well, I've seen people go out of business. I've seen situations where the builder just keeps asking for more and more money to be able to finish the house because they spent it somewhere else. So you see all of these things go wrong. And then also the quality. There's a big difference in quality, between a $500,000 house, $1 million house, a $2 million house. So just to finish out the different levels, all of that stuff matters, especially when, like, I would say that like the average price point, if you're building like 3,000 square feet new on an acre around the Metroplex, you're probably looking at spending 700,000 and up, probably closer to 800 minimum, right? So once you get to that level of spend, you're basically on the threshold of luxury living, right? So these things that may not matter as much if you're buying a $400,000 or $500,000 house really matter when you get to this level when you go to sell it, right? So those are all things you want to keep in mind. And so, the quality of builder, their reputation, this goes a long way. There's so many things I could go into, builder warranties.
Yeah, because the afterwards is really important as well. A lot of people think that once the builder builds their home, sells it to them, that's it. But what about when the craftsmanship fails and they need to come back and fix it? Or, anything that's still under warranty?
Yeah.
What if they've gone out of business in 5 years and you have a foundation issue?
All of those are like legit questions and things we've run across. And so basically what we're trying to say is if you're going to do this, give us a call. We'll help you out. We'll make sure you don't get hosed. We know great builders. We meet so many different builders going out and doing what we do every day. So our list is getting bigger. But yeah, so definitely those are definite concerns to have. And there's a lot of stuff you can't see. Did they foam insulate?
True.
Is it blown in? All that kind of stuff. But all right, enough about that. Let's keep talking about the different areas. Joshua and Godly. So this area is really blown up. In Godly, there's so much building going on. You're going to find neighborhoods that you're going to find a lot of neighborhoods that just have bigger lots in general. So even though they may not be an acre, they're going to be bigger than what you're going to find in the city. This looks like it's super far away from Fort Worth, but there is the Chisholm Trail Parkway, which is a tollway, allows you to get from Godly to downtown in about 30 minutes. And it's a very pleasant drive, actually. So for those reasons, there's been a ton of growth happening here. You're also close to Granbury. So like if you just wanted to take a day, go to the lake, you're not too far from there either. But the schools here are Godly's B plus rated.
I want to say they're A rated.
Are they A rated now? Mm-hmm. Okay, so like a year ago they were like B rated, but they just built a new stadium. Like I feel like it's on the up, right? You get that many new homes moving into an area. I'm pretty sure like just the different the stories that we've heard coming out of there, like
Yeah.
they're having the growing pains with like the city council and
Oh
all
man,
that kind of stuff. And
that was luckily that got resolved 3 years ago. There was a nightmare with the city council, and with how many people are moving there, they basically just started cutting a bunch of people out and completely replaced it. It's doing so much better now.
yeah. So they've been going through these growing pains, right? But there's not much in Godly, and there's not much in Joshua. Very rural type living, right? I think Godly's going to start seeing more commercial stuff pop up around their downtown and on that one highway coming in and out. But I don't think it's going to ever be anything like, it's not going to be a major town or anything. Yeah. So anyways, those two are great areas to land as well. And what else we got? We got the walkthroughs coming up. I guess before we jump to the walkthroughs, let's talk about pre-existing homes, mobile homes real quick. So this is a whole different ballgame. So if you're open to both, definitely hit us up. We've got a search form. We've got a link in the description where you can set up a search. We physically set that up for you because we have all kinds of things that we can filter out and really hone down on what you're looking for. But we do also sell mobile homes. So if you are looking for a mobile, that's something we can help you with. And you're going to find them all over the place as well. So yeah, anything else on mobile homes?
No, not really. Just there's not much to it. It's pretty simple. So if you guys need help with it, we can definitely make that happen.
Yeah, and if you're looking to also buy land and build a house on it, that's definitely something we can help with. We can help you find the land, get the right builder for it. The financing works differently. So if you got questions, definitely hit us up. We can sit down and have a 15-minute call, run you through how that works. But yeah, as far as pre-existing homes, typically they're going to be less expensive than your new homes. But surprisingly, the other day, like we were looking up near Frisco and McKinney, so there's a lot of stuff closer to Frisco and McKinney than what we showed you earlier that's pre-existing. So like if you did want to live near Frisco and McKinney, have an acre, but it is going to be more expensive as well. I don't know if you want to switch the settings real quick.
Yeah, let me.
And the thing that I found very interesting is the area where we were looking at the new homes. On average, the pre-existing homes were selling for more than the new homes were. It wasn't by much, but it was like they were neck and neck, which you don't normally see. And I can only surmise that it's from a lack of inventory. And then also, if these homes have put the extra money into putting fences up and things like that, and maybe a shop, there's an added value to that.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing we didn't mention. Some people do ask about putting a shop in. Most places will allow it. Again, you have to check out the deed restrictions and also the HOA. Typically what we see, like the only like setback to building one is if you're in a nicer neighborhood, they require the facade to be similar to your house. But yeah, if you take a look here, so McKinney's right here, and then you have all of these homes that didn't show up before on this side of Levon Lake. So there's a ton more to choose from there, and it's just going to be the same throughout the Metroplex. So you could see, can you zoom out a little bit and just kind of show people where these are across the map? But yeah, you're going to see there's more popping up here. And then I guess you want to show them like down near Waxahachie, kind of the areas that we've talked about before.
Yeah, so again, these are pre-existing homes. There's going to be a lot more of those down over here.
Yeah, a ton of them, right? So 89, 43. And then let's go over to Weatherford and Aledo. Just give folks an idea.
This is just going to be huge.
That's what she said.
So it's still loading. Give it a sec. Yeah, see like 141, 67, and then over here by like Aledo, 41, 52.
Don't do that.
Yeah, it's Aledo. Please don't call it Aledo.
Yeah, so you can see there's a lot more options. And this is interesting right here. So there's like, this is, if you want to be in the city, but in the country at the same time, there's this one, it's Dalworthington Gardens. It's like, this is one tiny pocket, and you can buy homes in there under $1 million, pre-existing homes. But that's pretty cool, like to be that close to everything and still have some acreage. But there are a few places like that. But for the most part, if you're going to be buying in the city, anything nice is probably going to be over $1 million on
easily.
an acre. Yeah, but we got some really cool stuff to show you as far as the these home walkthroughs go. So let's get to it.
Guys, first of all, I am shocked by what we found in a house in this price point. This thing has something that I've never seen in the laundry room. It has future proofing that I can't imagine somebody even thinking about. And then on top of that, the millwork is to die for. But we're at Vintage Oaks right now, and we're gonna take a look at this Ashland Homes to see what they got. So as soon as we walk into this place, you're gonna see they did a ton of woodwork here just in the entryway. It's a nice wide hallway. You got this cool tile design that they put down on the floor. The trim around all the doorways. So as soon as you walk into this place, you're just immediately hit with this level of luxury. Off to your left here, we do have a really nice oversized office space, and to the right, we have 2 bedrooms and a full bathroom here for the kids. But what really blew me away is as soon as I walked into the living room, I was greeted by this right here. So you see we have a double tray ceiling here, and what they did here I thought was amazing, because if you look here, the trim pieces, they didn't take them all the way to the intersection between the wall and the ceiling. They let them down a little bit so that way you can put up lighting if you choose to do so in the future. And on top of that, they've already provided an extra switch, so whenever you wire it together, it's all ready to go. Another really cool thing over here, I like how they did the pantry door here with the frosted glass. You got the stainless steel hardware and everything that really just pops against this nice bright countertops and cabinetry and everything. Kitchen looks amazing, nice and bright, cool backsplash. Same thing over here in your dining room. The chrome finish on all of the chandeliers and everything really just makes it pop with that natural lighting. But over here, this is what I was really excited to show you guys. We have this shiplap mud bench here that leads into your laundry room. And then this, never seen this before. So we have seen a drying rack before, but this one actually, they thought about it before they put it together. So when you hang your stuff to dry, it's not laying all over itself, staying damp. It actually has room to breathe and will help it dry a lot faster. So if you have any delicates that can't go into the dryer or you're worried about them warping, this is a great way to take care of that. Let's go take a look at the master bath real quick, because honestly, this one was really pretty. So as soon as we walk into the master bedroom here, you can see it's, again, super bright. You've got these rear-facing windows letting in tons of natural lighting. The tray ceiling with that trim that we talked about earlier. I'm a really big fan of how they did this right here. So if we take a look here at the crown molding, we actually just have a very basic piece of wood here, and on top of that, that curved trim piece. But whenever you put them together, it really does create like that really grand look that you wouldn't expect from 2 simple pieces of trim. But that's all throughout the house, so you're gonna have that level of grandness no matter where you go, including here in the bathroom. So as we come in, nice picture mirrors with the thick trim and everything around it. Again, nice bright color scheme. It goes really well with the chrome accents and everything. And I really like the way that they inset the tub. Most people, whenever you put the tub into the nook here, they'll put a little step, but it's usually made out of wood or something cheaper. These guys went and tiled all the way around. That's the level of finish that these guys are putting into their houses. Frameless shower glass door here. This actually goes a lot deeper and has a bench in the back, so plenty of room if you wanted to put a second shower head or shower with the hubby and the wife, whatever. It's really nice. And then we have an oversized master closet here. So this place really does have it all, and I feel like Ashland Homes is really putting their best foot forward. Now the house is great and all, but you didn't come this far from the city just to live in a house. You came out here for the land, and this place has it because every single one of these lots is at least an acre. You see we got tons of land back here. They haven't sodded it all up, but it goes all the way back to that fence line. Tons of room for the kids and the dog to run around. And on top of that, you got a little bit of shade from the sun because Texas gets hot, and don't worry, these guys thought about it with this oversized patio covered with wiring for lighting and a fan. But you're gonna wanna stick around to see what an extra $300,000 can buy you on a comparable lot. And trust me, you're gonna wanna see this because the bathroom is ridiculous.
We're out here at Bella Crossing. This is a neighborhood just south of Fort Worth, and we're gonna be taking a look at what something in the 800,000 range actually gets you. And so in this house, you're gonna see some really cool finish shots in the kitchen that you didn't see before. You're also gonna see a ridiculous master bathroom, and you're gonna see a lot more space. Let's go in and take a look. One thing to note, the house that we looked at previously was about 2,200 square feet. This is about 3,400 square feet. So you get over 1,000 more square feet. And so right here off to our right, we've got an office, we've got glass doors, and you just have a lot more space in these homes. You also have a 3-car garage. The last one had a 2-car garage. So a lot of what we're talking about here as far as the dollar is going towards that space. Also, location, location, location. This one is about as close as you can get to Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth, on an acre of land. So right here we're in the living room. We've got these nice tall ceilings. These are probably 10, 12, these are probably a 12-foot pop-up. You've got a nice fireplace here. This has kind of got that California look on the outside, and they've continued some of that modern type look here on the inside. Now in your kitchen, we're gonna have all kinds of stuff here, a lot of different upgrades. You're gonna see a lot of this in this price point. So we've got these nice uppers along the top with these glass fronts, and obviously they're backlit. You got your underlit cabinets here, all very nice touches. And then you're also gonna get custom cabinetry at this level. So you're gonna see a lot of things like these pullouts here. This is for your spices. You've got another one over here to hold your beer. It's not for beer, it's for, I don't know, spoons and spatulas and all that kind of stuff. In the background here, this is one of my favorite things. You've got a trash can pullout. This is something I think if you're building a house, this is a must have, just to have that next to your sink or somewhere here in the kitchen. But apart from that, you're gonna see some different things as far as appliances go. Right here, this is a pretty standard setup where you've got a wall oven, microwave. Sometimes you'll see double ovens at this level. You may even see like a convection type microwave, air fryer. Like you're gonna see some nicer appliances in a lot of these, but we'll check out this side of the house first. So here we've got a bedroom. And another thing about these rooms, and here's a bathroom and another bedroom. These are all really good sizes. So with additional square footage, these are probably a 13 by 13 room. This one is probably 12 by 13. So you get a lot more of that. And then we'll take a peek over here real quick. There's another bedroom that's got an ensuite bathroom. And so this is something that you're gonna see a lot more, where you may see where these homes all have their own bathroom, right? So good sized bedroom, and then you've got a full bath over here as well. Now, one other thing to mention here, we'll head this way. We've got a little mud bench here, so you're gonna see some of these other finish outs going on, and then here's your laundry room. There's a lot of space, but unfortunately, not that cool drying rack that we saw at the previous house. But we're gonna make our way over to the master bedroom, but before we get there, we've still got a lot of space left if you're doing the math on all this square footage. And right over here, there's a second, I would call it a movie room. You can also use it as a playroom if you've got kids. You know, if you wanna stick them off somewhere, close the door so it's not so loud. And then there is a half bath right back here. So these are the things that you're kind of looking for at this higher, or you're gonna get at this higher price point. Now, one other thing to mention, I know Jack's gonna kill me on this big sliding glass door. So this you're gonna see is pretty standard at this level. You're also gonna see doors like, there's a builder out here, he puts 12-foot doors in. So you imagine a door going all the way up to this roof line. That's how big these doors are. And it just makes, it's like a statement piece when you walk in. So you're gonna see a lot more of those luxury type items start to happen. And then here's your master bedroom. You've got these nice tall ceilings. They've traded in here. You've got a nice accent wall. And then what we've all been waiting for, that master bathroom. So a ton of space in here, number one. They've done a great job. Basically, this whole wall is a mirror. And you wanna have that so you can see this huge shower tub combo that you've got. So this is something that's pretty cool. You've got actually two different rain heads here. Right? Two shower niches, all of her stuff, and then her stuff, and then your stuff, if you're a dude watching this, probably down that corner. But yeah, just a ton of space. You're gonna see these really luxurious type bathrooms at this level. And then this is something else for her, huge closets. So a lot of times at this level, you're gonna see closets like this. You'll see them with nice finish out. These are real wood. You'll even see some that have islands in them. The closets are bigger than most people's bedrooms. So a lot of really cool stuff if you're coming out here and looking to spend closer to that $800,000-900,000 range.
All right, guys, welcome back. And another really big topic here that we want to cover is tax rates, because one of the cool things about being a little bit further away from the city is you may not have to worry about certain things showing up on your taxes, like maybe the medical district or city taxes. So your tax rate is likely going to be a lot lower depending on where you land, but we covered a lot of ground here today. And so if you really want the most accurate information, you're going to have to reach out to us about the areas you're interested in.
Yeah, typically you're going to save like 0.5% to 1% being outside of the city limits. But yeah, and that's the other thing, guys. This is a lot different than just finding, a cookie cutter suburb, and picking a house. So if you still have a bunch of questions, please do reach out to us. We'd love to sit down 15 minutes, give you some direction, help narrow this thing down for you. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you don't have questions, at least set up a search. We'll have the link to that in the description. We're happy to help. If you are buying new, we've got incentives for you on top of the builder's incentives. So anyways, love to work with you. Thanks for watching today. And as always, if you're looking to buy or sell, remember to keep calm. Call Tom.